So there's a lot of us out there that have an innate desire to give back, but we don't have an easy way to do it. We want to show Australia that non-for-profit can be innovative and that whole charity sector does need some shaking up from the ground up with a bunch of young, dynamic, vibrant people that see the world differently and want to change things. Hi, I'm Zara. This is a little bit awkward as I'm talking by myself into a microphone in the podcast room, but I want to introduce myself as the founder of The Difference, which is Australia's first mobile app to round up your spare change and then change lives and communities. This is a podcast that we're doing called The Difference Podcast. Everything tech related, tech for good, entrepreneurship, people that are hustling, businesses, game changers, and also the change makers. So people that are out there at the forefront trying to change the world in different ways through climate change, food waste, and even just in the community. So it's going to be exciting. Hi, I'm Zara Torre and I'm the founder and CEO of The Difference. So we're creating Australia's first mobile application that allows users to round up their spare change every time they're shopping, every purchase, every coffee, and give the difference to charities or causes that they care about. So anything ranging from health, education, poverty, women and children and the environment. We've kind of taken this great big concept of the UN Sustainable Development Goals and tried to break it down in a way that people can relate to. So it's super exciting. I've got a bit of a long history in the non-for-profit sector, so I still volunteer actively in the community, and I've seen how difficult it is for charities to really stay sustainable. But a lot of them have got great big hearts and a lot of talent within the organisation, but they don't have a method or a model to generate sustainable resources. But I've also seen how the dollar can stretch a lot on projects. So I've been to countries like India and Cambodia. Next year I'm going to Senegal, and that dollar makes a huge impact to lives of those people. I think I've always been like a sensitive kind of empathetic person. So like if I see somebody that's gone through something, I always try and think about what life would be like for them. My parents are from India, but I was born in Tassie, hence the voice, hence the accent. Growing up, I just felt like a brown Australian. And when I was about 7 or 8, we went back for the first time to India, and I could not believe what I was seeing, like from someone that grew up around Sorrento and like beautiful beaches to going to India with so many people, poverty, waste, pollution, inefficient governments. I kind of thought, how can this be that I get to live this very extraordinary life? So whenever we would go out in the street, people would be begging. They'd come up to you and ask you for money. So I'd always carry spare change with me when I was little to give to people. And one day we were walking down the street and it was an area that you weren't allowed to beg. So it was a commercial district in Bangalore. And I stopped to give an elderly crippled woman some money. And as I did it, a police officer came and started beating her over the head with a baton. And she was about 80 and she was already crippled. And just watching that, it really scarred me in a sense that it made me think, the world is really a place of vast inequality. And why is it that I have this really incredible life and others don't? So rather than make yourself feel dreadful about that, about what you've been gifted with, I always thought, what can I do to help someone else? So in that moment, there was nothing we could do. We just had to walk away. Otherwise, something could have happened to us. And my father just kind of scolded me a little bit, was like, you shouldn't have given that woman some money. I do not have a background in tech. I'm more of an ideas person. My background's in non-for-profit. I've got a law degree. I'm also a dentist. and I've got a master's in public health. So I've done a lot of broad-scale public health interventions overseas, but I've never done anything in the tech space, so it's super exciting for me. The tech guys on my team are really well versed with that. Both of them have had app development companies in the past, so I leave the technical side to Matt and Suba, but for myself, I'm more goal-driven about the way that we could change people's lives for good. I see the difference as a way of transforming everyday lives and everyday moments. I see that the difference could be a way that people become connected to a community of like-minded difference out there. A lot of people in my family are doctors, and as an ethnic child, like born in Australia, there was only about 4 options to me, like medicine, engineering or accounting. So I chose dentistry. I thought, who wants to look in people's mouths all day? Turns out I do. Mainly because of people. I sort of operate on the mantra that all my friends are patients and all my patients are friends. I really enjoy going to work because there's something quite technical about what we're doing, but there's also something really artistic. So once I finished dentistry, I knew that I didn't just want to be a dentist, and that's why I studied law while working full-time. So I was working 6 days a week, and then basically in my lunch break listening to university lectures, or either before work or after work, and on weekends I do intensive units. So I finished my double degree probably over 5 years while working full-time 6 days a week as a dentist. I could maybe go and work for the World Health Organization or the UN and try and do something to really help societies and communities. And then once I did that, got married, and we moved to Italy. And after I came back, I still continued to work, and then I got pregnant, and I thought, I got some time here. I might do a master's in public health. I'd say that was the most difficult bit. Like working full-time and studying wasn't as hard as working a little bit, having a baby, and then trying to do a master's as well. But I reckon there's a lot of women out there that are in that situation. Like they get a bit of cabin fever, really. I remember you going from this really high-paced, intense environment of meeting people all the time in your everyday job to just being at home by yourself, the baby sleeping, and then you kind of have these Wilson moments where you're talking to inanimate objects going, somebody here? But I kind of have operated under the model that if it's within my power to help somebody, I will do it. So if somebody asks something of me, I'll kind of problem solve a way to help them out in whatever situation. So that can be from the big to the small, but it's just how I like to live. So we work with a volunteer organisation called the ADHF, and they liaise with St Pat's in Fremantle, which is a community centre for the homeless. So homelessness is a massive problem in Australia. 1 in 200 people will be sleeping rough on any night. And I guess I walk down the street, I see people and I kind of think, what's going on? This is Australia. Why are people out there sleeping rough? So homelessness to me has always been a massive issue, and I thought this is a great way that I can use my skills to give back. And I think I've always been struck by that question, like what is the best way to give back? When you start with an attitude of gratefulness and being thankful for your own situation in life, then I think it's a natural given that you want to give back to others and help people that maybe haven't had your life or haven't been as fortunate. So for me, giving back to the homeless people has been incredible. So we've got this clinic in Fremantle. It's a state-of-the-art clinic. So you walk down this old kind of community centre hotel type of thing, and then you get to the back and it's and it's all white and gleamy and shiny, and it's been fit out with state-of-the-art equipment. OPG machines, and we get to do the first of its kind model of giving free dental care to homeless people. And everybody knows how expensive dentistry is. And so for our patients that we see there, they often need thousands of dollars worth of treatment. So it's from people that have been having meth addictions for years, their teeth are all stumps and they've been in pain and chronic infection for years. So we get to change that. We get to rebuild their teeth, rebuild their smiles, and it's huge. They go on to get stable jobs and stable housing, and I've seen like the huge impact that just a set of teeth can make on someone's life. So I'm really privileged to be able to do that. And I guess I know that the impact that my skills can have. One time where I was on my sort of world-saving mission of trying to help others, and we booked this trip to go away to India for 6 weeks and work in a place called Vellore in Tamil Nadu. So it's one of the top 3 hospitals in India, and people travel hundreds of kilometres to go there. So they have every kind of specialist, in fact some of the best in the country there, and they offer subsidised medical surgical procedures. We went there, and one of the oral maxillofacial surgeons who deals with people that have life-threatening cancers said to me, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just here to help." And then I had one of those sort of mic drop moments where he said to me, "No, what are you really doing here?" He said, "You should just go back and work and send me like 1% of your salary, and I could use that to help change 10 people's lives." And I thought, that's a really interesting concept. Like, I'm not sending you my money, but maybe we could all think about different ways of giving. Like, sometimes it can be with your time and volunteering to a community organisation that you care about. Sometimes it could be just giving a little bit of your income in a way that it doesn't really affect your day-to-day living. But most of us are so overwhelmed. Like, mortgages are very expensive, rent is expensive, bills are expensive, life is really expensive. The cost of living in Australia is prohibitive for a lot of people to think about giving their time back to community. So I guess all those experiences, the biggest things that they've taught me is that there is a better way to think. You can think differently, and it maybe won't impact your life in a way that you thought it would. You can just rejig things to make it work if you're following your passion, if you're following your purpose. I guess the thing about me is that I'm like a multi-process systems thinker. I see the difference as a way of transforming everyday lives and everyday moments. This to me was about changing the way that we give. It was about saying to people, you don't have to change your lifestyle to have an impact to somebody that you don't know. So it's probably a hard sell for the average person to connect with someone in Africa. They've never met that person. They're never potentially going to go to Africa and see all the problems that people have around water or preventable diseases. But there might be a little spark within them that wants to help, but they don't know how. So this idea came to me, I guess, when I was walking down the street and being stopped and asked for money, and I realised I never had any spare change in my wallet. And then from there I spoke to somebody that I knew that was involved with mobile app development. And I said, why don't we just create this thing? Why don't we do it like you can round up in every moment and give the difference to charities that you care about. But with my lawyer brain, I wanted to make sure that it was really streamlined and really all about impact. So that's why we took the UN's goals, the 17, and kind of broke them down into 5: health, education, poverty, women and children, and the environment. And this for me was about that bigger goal of saying to that person in Australia, you might be shopping on ASOS, you're buying your pair of jeans, but you're actually empowering a women's collective in Laos. Or you might be paying a water bill here, but you're actually helping a water project in Tanzania. So it's about creating something super complex and distilling it down to the simple in a way that everyone can get on board with. Like, what is 27 cents to me while I'm paying my water bill? It's not that much. My water bill's huge. I got 2 little boys, but like I do 4 loads of washing in a week. So that 27 cents doesn't seem like very much, but actually collectively we make so many transactions on card every day. So there's a lot of us out there that have an innate desire to give back, but we don't have an easy way to do it. So for young people, for people like myself, we're constantly making online purchases, but we no longer carry spare change in our pocket. But there are a lot of people that change would have a massive impact for. So I'm trying to use technology as a means to help the average person change the world. We make 11.3 card transactions a day. We make around 8 billion transactions a year in Australia. So can you imagine just what a tiny little fraction of that could do to help people, even locally? It doesn't have to be international. I really want to help all the little guys out there, but also make people see that every moment is meaningful in their lives. So there's a lot of hustling when you start a new project. I didn't realise what a great thing this can be. So I'm sort of used to working within like established structures of organisation, from like hospital or healthcare systems or legal or governance. But when you're starting something from scratch from yourself, there are no processes in place. So working on making sure that you have the right structures is very time consuming. But the fun part is the people that you meet in different industries that also share that vision. But you really have to hit the pavement. You've got to get out there, spread the word, spruik your cause, engage in like market research, validate your idea. It's the whole lean startup model. And we've done this whole thing, I can proudly say, on a very lean budget, just to stay true to our cause, which is to give 100% of the profits to the charities that are supporting us and who we believe in. So I had many options early on in the stage to make this like a purely kind of commercial venture, but we've stuck with it being a non-profit. And the reason is we want to show Australia that non-for-profit can be innovative, that non-for-profit and that whole charity sector does need some shaking up. And this is the way to do it, from the ground up, with a bunch of young, dynamic, vibrant people that see the world differently and want to change things. And that's what we're doing. We've been bootstrapped. We've got a little bit of angel funding, but we're very much in the startup phase of our development. So we're trying to launch our app later this year in the beta version. And this is going to change the way that people in Australia give. So we did a little research on why it is that people don't give. And there's a number of reasons. It can be compassion fatigue. Like, we're so used to seeing these images of people from other countries. Unfortunately, we don't identify with it. And there's just so much stuff going on in the media. Plus, it's pretty expensive to give $25 a month to charity, and the average person can't really afford that. And then the other reason is that a lot of people distrust how much of the dollar is actually spent on charity. So they think, oh, if of that dollar, how much is on marketing, how much is on admin, how much is on these great big buildings that a lot of massive organisations have. So we wanted to change that. We wanted to be about the tech so that it's in real time. You get reporting on what's going on for those charities, where they are with their projects, how much your roundups have gone to. Okay, well, I'm the mum of two young boys, Jacob and Raphael. So that takes up a bit of my time, but I'm working basically 7 days a week till midnight or 1 a.m. most nights, just hustling. We've got a brilliant team of people that have come on board for the journey of trying to change the world essentially in every moment. We kind of see that technology should be harnessed for good. So we're all a bunch of people that have worked in non-for-profit or NGOs before but have different skill sets. So marketing, digital, tech, film, social media, finance, and it's really a team effort to try and get this project off the ground. We've had lots of industry support from UWA, from Bloom Lab, RIF, Space Cubed, won a couple of scholarships, and we keep powering on ahead until we can launch this app. But we really need more help. In fact, we need more people to really see what we're doing and trying to change the game. My goal is for the difference to be global. I want it to be something that just embeds goodness in every moment, for people to be still consumers, still buying things that are pretty, still buying things that make their heart sing, but in every moment almost not even thinking about being good and being generous, because it's those tiny little things that actually can have the greatest impact for people. So I want to see us expand after having a defensible product and having a successful business model over the next couple of years into Asia and the US and then beyond. So the scope and the potential for this is huge, and I think it needs to be global to have the biggest reach. But I really want to support only carefully vetted charities. So I know that that's one of the issues that people see with the charity model, is that maybe there's too many out there. I don't know about that, but I do know that it's important for the good guys to really rise. And so the ones that are out there that are almost using like a lean startup methodology for a charity. So they're not paying themselves. They're one of the founders that we're working with, they've started Classroom of Hope. They used to be successful finance people for some of the big four banks here in Perth, and they thought, I could live in Indonesia for cheaper and do greater work. So they've changed their lifestyle to do that. So these are the people that others that maybe can't go to Indonesia want to empower. And I think that's the thing. Most people might not get time to take a week off and go and live in Africa or go to Cambodia, but they could help the ones that are out there on the ground doing it, and that's what technology should do. We would really love support from big businesses in town. I think any corporates, any companies or people with ridiculous levels of wealth that want to kind of think about new ways and new innovations that help consumers give back and also help those non-for-profits and those cause organisations expand their reach. Come talk to me and help us out. I think you'll find that what we're going to do is really going to be impact driven. I guess if you're listening out there, you can come to our website and basically sign up for our mailing list and become one of our first beta users and test it out. Tell us what's wrong with it. Tell us what you love about it, and just stay connected on the podcast and through blogs and through our social media. Wherever you are out there, thank you so much for listening to our First Difference podcast, and make sure you stay connected with us on our socials. So we've got an interesting lineup of guests coming up for our next few sessions, and make sure you stay connected. We're going to be talking about some of the big picture things that we're facing as a community, as a society, and as individuals. Follow us on Instagram at thedifference.org and on our website, the-difference.org. And once again, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you soon. See you then. Bye.